The elevator lurched to a halt between the 17th and 18th floors with a scream of metal that clawed straight into my soul, plunging us into a darkness so absolute it felt like the world had swallowed us whole. My heart slammed against my ribs as the emergency lights flickered on, casting harsh shadows across the stranger's face. Those amber eyes locking onto mine like they could see every secret I'd buried under years of pretending. In that frozen instant, with the air thick and unmoving, I realized this wasn't just a breakdown. It was the universe forcing me to confront the one truth I'd been running from. Sometimes, the scariest traps aren't steel cages, but the raw, unfiltered pull of another human heart. I gasped, my back pressing against the cool metal wall as if it could anchor me, but nothing could steady the storm raging inside. The man, God, he was beautiful in a way that hit like a gut punch, didn't flinch. He just stood there, one hand casually in his pocket, the other hovering near the emergency button like he'd seen worse than a stalled ride in a midtown high-rise. "You okay?" His voice was low, smooth as aged whiskey, with a faint southern lilt that wrapped around the words like smoke. It wasn't panic I heard. It was calm, the kind that comes from someone who's stared down real darkness and walked away scarred but standing. I nodded too quickly, my throat dry as sandpaper. "Yeah, just. Not a fan of tight spaces." Lie. The truth was I'd spent my whole life squeezing into boxes too small for who I really was. Outwardly the polished marketing exec at a firm that prized straight-laced ambition. Inwardly a 28-year-old gay man who'd ghosted his last date because the fear of being seen, truly seen, was louder than any longing. Alex Harper, that's me, the guy who smiled through family dinners dodging questions about that special someone, who scrolled Grindr at 2 a.m. but never hit send. And now, here I was, trapped 200 feet up with a stranger who looked like he'd stepped out of every forbidden fantasy I'd ever nursed in a shower. He chuckled softly, the sound vibrating through the confined air, easing the knot in my chest just a fraction. Jordan Reyes." He extended a hand, his fingers long and calloused in a way that spoke of hands-on work, not desk jobs, maybe a contractor or artist, something that left marks. I took it, and the contact was electric, his grip firm but warm, lingering a beat too long before we both pulled back. "And you are?" "Alex Harper." My voice cracked on the last syllable, and I cursed inwardly. "Smooth, Alex. Real smooth." The elevator's hum had died completely now, replaced by the distant wail of sirens bleeding through the walls. New York never slept, even if we were stuck in limbo. I glanced at the panel, all buttons dark, the alarm silent. "How long do you think?" "Could be minutes. Could be hours." Jordan shrugged, but his eyes, those damn eyes, didn't leave mine. They were the color of honeyed bourbon, flecked with gold, and they held a depth that made me want to dive in, consequences be damned. He leaned against the opposite wall, crossing his arms over a chest that strained against his blazer, the fabric whispering promises of lean muscle beneath. "Happened to me once in Atlanta. 3 hours. Guy I was with freaked out, started confessing his life story. Turned out he was running from a bad divorce." I swallowed hard, the air suddenly too warm, too close. Confessions in elevators. Sounds like a bad rom-com plot. But my mind raced. What would I confess if the walls closed in? That I just come from a meeting where my boss praised my traditional values, while I bit my tongue on the promotion that could have meant coming out? That my apartment in Brooklyn was a shrine to solitude, filled with books on queer history I read in secret? Jordan's lips twitched, that half smile deepening into something almost tender. Or the best kind. Real life doesn't come with scripts. He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he wanted to solve. "You look like you've got a story, Alex. That tie's crooked, rough day." He crept up my neck. He noticed. Of course he did. You could say that. Pitched a campaign for some family values brand. Irony at its finest. The words slipped out before I could stop them, laced with the bitterness I'd swallowed all afternoon. Why was I telling him this? Strangers weren't supposed to matter. His brow furrowed, a shadow crossing his face. Family values, huh? Been there. Grew up in a small Texas town where that meant one thing. Fit the mold or get out. He paused, his gaze dropping to the floor, vulnerability cracking through his easy confidence. I got out, landed in the city, chasing dreams that didn't include hiding who I am. My breath caught. Who I am. The words hung between us, heavy with implication. Was he? No, don't assume. But the way he said it, the quiet defiance, it mirrored my own unspoken war. Yeah, I murmured, sliding down the wall until I sat on the floor, knees drawn up. The carpet was scratchy against my slacks, grounding me. Hiding's exhausting, like wearing a mask that chafes your soul. Jordan joined me, folding his long legs with graceful ease, our knees almost brushing in the narrow space. The emergency light buzzed faintly overhead, painting his features in stark relief. High cheekbones, a faint scar along his jaw that begged to be traced. Tell me about it. I'm a photographer, freelance. Shoot weddings, portraits, the glossy stuff that pays the rent. But my real work? Capturing the unseen, the protests, the quiet revolutions in people's eyes. Last week, I was at a rally in the village, documenting trans folks reclaiming their stories. Felt alive, you know? Like I was part of something bigger than my own bullshit. His passion lit him up, words tumbling out with a fervor that pulled me in, made the elevator feel less like a tomb and more like a confessional. I envied that fire, the way he owned his space. That sounds incredible. I'm stuck in spreadsheets and slogans. Marketing for corporations, that'd fire me if they knew the real me. The admission burned, but saying it aloud, to him, felt like cracking a window in a stuffy room. Jordan's hand brushed my arm, accidental but not, sending sparks skittering across my skin. Hey, the real you looks pretty damn compelling from where I'm sitting. His voice dropped, intimate, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to just us. The heat of his proximity, the faint cologne that smelled like cedar and rain, the way his breath synced with mine. I met his gaze, and there it was, the intensity, raw and unyielding, stripping away the layers I'd built so carefully. My pulse thundered, every nerve alight. What if this was it? The moment everything shifted. But then the elevator groaned, a metallic shudder rippling through the walls, and reality crashed back in. Lights flickered wildly, plunging us into strobe-like chaos, and Jordan's hand found mine in the dark, gripping tight, as if to say, whatever comes next, we're in it together. That grip anchored me through the jolt, his fingers strong and sure, calluses rough against my palm like the texture of truth. When the lights steadied, neither of us let go. You ever think, he whispered, thumb tracing a slow circle on my skin, that getting stuck isn't always a curse? Sometimes it's the only way to move forward. I couldn't speak, throat tight with the weight of possibility. Outside, the city pulsed on, oblivious, but in here, time bent, stretched, and in the silence that followed, I felt the first fragile thread of connection weave between us, two strangers on the edge of something profound, breathless in the face of what might unfold. As minutes bled into what felt like hours, the conversation flowed like a river breaking free, each word carving deeper into the barriers we'd both erected. Jordan leaned back, his shoulder brushing mine, and launched into tales of his nomadic life. Hitchhiking from Austin to New Orleans after his conservative parents discovered his sketchbook filled with portraits of men locked in tender embraces. They burned it, he said flatly, but his eyes held the embers of that loss. Called it a phase. I called it home. My chest ached for him, for the boy he'd been, and in that ache, I found my own voice. My folks are in Ohio, suburban dream, white picket fence. Dad's a mechanic. Mom bakes pies for church. They love me, but I trailed off, staring at our joined hands. The last time I visited, my sister brought her fiancé. Everyone toasted to the future. I toasted water, smiled, and went to bed early so I wouldn't have to explain why my future felt like a ghost. Jordan squeezed my hand, his touch a lifeline. That invisible weight, it crushes, doesn't it? But look at you, Alex. You're here, in the heart of it all, fighting for air. That's not nothing. His praise warmed me, chasing away the chill of regret. And I turned to him, really looked. Up close, he was even more arresting. Lashes thick as midnight, a smattering of freckles across his nose that softened the sharp edges of his face. What about you? What's the story behind the scar? I nodded to his jaw, emboldened by the dark. He touched it absently, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. Bar fight in Memphis. Defended a drag queen from some redneck assholes. Worth every stitch. Pride laced his tone, and damn if it didn't make him glow. We laughed then, the sound echoing off the walls, a brief rebellion against the stall. But laughter faded as thirst crept in, the dry mouth of confinement, and Jordan rummaged in his messenger bag, pulling out a half-empty water bottle. Share. He held it out, and when I took it, our fingers tangled again, deliberate this time. The sip was cool relief, but it was his eyes on my throat as I swallowed that set my blood racing. Tell me something real, he urged, voice husky. No filters. What scares you most about letting someone in? The question pierced, and I hesitated. The elevators I'm a mocking underscore. Losing control. Being the kid who got shoved into lockers for holding hands with a boy in secret. Or worse, being loved and still feeling alone because I can't fully show up. Jordan's expression softened, pain mirroring mine. I get that. After my ex. A violent shake cut him off, the car swaying like a pendulum. Emergency lights strobing red. Alarms finally blared, shrill and insistent. And panic surged as the temperature spiked, air thick with the scent of overheating circuits. Jordan yanked me close, his arm banding around my waist, body heat enveloping me like a shield. Breathe, he murmured against my ear, lips grazing the shell. I've got you. In that chaos, with the world tilting, his hold was everything. Solid, unyielding, a promise whispered in the dark. My hands fisted in his shirt, inhaling him. And for the first time, fear didn't devour. It ignited something fiercer, a spark of desire that burned away doubt. When the shaking subsided, we stayed tangled, breaths mingling, the line between stranger and salvation blurring into oblivion. Sweat beaded on my forehead, the air growing stifling as the ventilation failed, turning our metal box into a pressure cooker. Jordan released me slowly, reluctance in every inch, and we shifted apart just enough to breathe, but not enough to lose the thread. Where were we? He asked, voice roughened by adrenaline. Your ex, I prompted, though part of me dreaded the answer. Jealousy, irrational and hot, twisted in my gut. Who had touched him like this? Who had seen the vulnerability behind the charm? He exhaled, running a hand through his dark waves, tousling them further. Marcus. We met at a gallery opening in Chelsea 2 years back. He was a curator, all sharp suits and sharper wit. Thought he was the one. Taught me how to frame my shots with intention, how to see beauty in the broken. A shadow crossed his face, and he looked away. But he couldn't handle the instability. My gigs drying up. The nights I vanished into the streets, chasing light. Last I heard, he's engaged to some trust fund artist in L.A. The pain in his voice echoed my own ghosts. Ethan, the college fling who'd promised forever until graduation scattered us. Him to a straight life in the suburbs. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. Sounds like he lost the best part of himself. Jordan's gaze snapped back intense. Or found an easier path. Question is, Alex, are we brave enough for the hard one? Before I could answer, a crackle burst from the intercom, static, then a tinny voice. This is building maintenance. We got a power surge. Crew's on the way. Sit tight. Relief warred with disappointment. Rescue meant end. And this, us, felt like a beginning I wasn't ready to lose. Jordan smirked, reading my face. Plenty of time left for truths. So we dove deeper, trading stories like lifelines. I confessed the tattoo hidden under my sleeve. A small rainbow flag inked on my 21st birthday, a drunken act of defiance now faded but fierce. He shared his camera roll, pulling out his phone's dying battery to show shots. A pair of lovers silhouetted against the Brooklyn Bridge at dawn, hands intertwined defiantly. A solitary figure at Stonewall, face painted with tears and triumph. This is what keeps me going, he said. Capturing the fight, the love that refuses to dim. His words stirred something primal, and when our knees knocked again, neither pulled away. The heat between us built, unspoken tension coiling like a spring. What do you see when you look at me? I whispered, heart hammering. Strength, wrapped in fear. Lips that beg to be kissed. Eyes that hold a storm. His breath hitched, hand lifting to cup my cheek, thumb brushing my lower lip. Time suspended, the world outside forgotten, and I leaned in, drawn inexorably. The elevator jolted again, harsher this time, slamming us together. His body covered mine instinctively, protective, and in the crush, our mouths met. Not a kiss, but a collision, lips parting in shock and hunger. It was fire, brief and blazing, tasting of salt and want before we sprang apart, chests heaving. Sorry, he gasped, but his eyes said the opposite. Starve alive. Don't be. My voice trembled, the taste of him lingering. In that stolen moment, the intensity had cracked me open, leaving me exposed, yearning. Rescue was coming, but whatever came next, I knew, this stranger had already rescued something vital inside me, the courage to breathe free. The aftershock of that almost kiss hung in the air like charged ozone, every glance between us loaded with what-ifs and why-nots. I touched my lips, still tingling, and Jordan watched, his amber eyes dark with the same unspoken hunger. The intercom crackled again, the maintenance guy's voice droning about delays, faulty wiring, backup generators failing, but it was white noise against the roar in my ears. How had we gone from polite small talk to this precipice in under an hour? New York had a way of accelerating everything, but this felt cosmic, fated. "Alex," Jordan said softly, breaking the spell. He shifted closer, our thighs pressing now, heat seeping through fabric. "That wasn't nothing. Tell me you felt it too." I nodded, words failing. Felt it? It was a tsunami, crashing over the dams I'd built around my heart. More than felt. It's like, you've seen me. The parts one hide. Vulnerability clawed up my throat, but with him, it didn't terrify, it liberated. He smiled, genuine and warm, chasing shadows from his face. Good, because I've been hiding too. Not from family this time, from myself. After Marcus, I swore off connections. Too messy, too risky. Stuck to flings, late nights at bars where no one asked questions. His fingers traced idle patterns on the floor between us, inching toward mine. But you're different. Steady in the chaos. Steady? Me? The irony burned, but his belief in it made me want to become it. Flings sound safer, I admitted, lacing my fingers through his again, deliberate. That's my MO. App dates that fizzle before coffee. Keeps the walls up. Jordan's thumb stroked my knuckle, soothing. Walls are lonely fortresses. Trust me, I built one after Texas, moved to Atlanta, then Nashville, chasing gigs that let me vanish into crowds. Photographed country stars hiding their queer sides, but never let anyone snap me. He paused, voice dropping. Until tonight. If we get out of here, I want your number. A real shot. Dinner, maybe? My treat. There's this hole in the wall in the East Village with empanadas that could make you forget the world. My heart stuttered at the offer, simple yet seismic. Dinner. A date. The word alone spiked adrenaline. Visions of candlelit tables and stolen touches under the table warring with the old fears. What if he sees the cracks? What if I'm not enough? But looking at him, hair falling boyishly over his forehead, that scar a badge of bravery, I pushed back. I'd like that. A lot. The promise sealed the space between us, turning confinement into cocoon. We talk more, lighter now. Favorite dive bars is a leather-clad spot in Hell's Kitchen. Mine, a cozy piano lounge in Williamsburg. Dream trips, him to the canyons of Utah for golden hour shots. Me to San Francisco's Castro for pride that doesn't end. Laughter came easier, bridging the gaps, until thirst struck again and we passed the bottle, lips brushing the rim where the others had been, a proxy intimacy that only stoked the fire. Then, the lights dimmed to a sullen red, the air growing oppressively hot, sweat trickling down my back. Jordan shrugged off his blazer, revealing a fitted black tee that clung to his torso, outlining every ridge of muscle earned from hauling gear through city streets. I followed suit, loosening my collar, and the vulnerability of half undressed in this tin can amp the tension, eyes tracing paths they shouldn't. "You're beautiful, you know that?" he murmured, voice gravelly. "Not just hot, though fuck you are, but real. The kind of real that sticks." Blush heated my cheeks, but I held his gaze. "Ditto. That scar? It's hot as hell. Story of a hero." He leaned in, noses brushing, breath mingling. "Hero, huh? Careful, or I'll have to prove it." The tease held promise, and my body responded, leaning fractionally closer, lips parting on a sigh. A thunderous bang echoed from above, the elevator dropping an inch before halting with a whine that chilled blood. We froze, hands clutching, the flirtation shattered by primal fear. What the hell was that? I whispered, pulse jackhammering. Jordan swallowed hard, composure cracking. Cable slip, maybe. Stay calm, we're okay. But his grip tightened, betraying the lie. The intercom spat static, no voice this time, and panic clawed at the edges of my mind, visions of plummeting to concrete flashing unbidden. In the red glow, His face was a mask of forced bravery, but I saw the tremor in his jaw. The man who'd faced bar fights and family fire, now grappling with the uncontrollable. "Jordan," I said, cupping his face, mirroring his earlier touch. "Look at me. We're not going anywhere. Not like this." He exhaled shakily, forehead pressing to mine. "Yeah, just don't let go." "I won't." And in that vow, something shifted, not just survival, but solidarity. We breathed together, sinking inhales, the intimacy born of terror weaving us tighter. Minutes stretched, the heat building to a fever, shirts sticking, skin slick. To distract, he pulled out his phone, battery at 5%, and played a playlist, soft indie folk, guitars strumming tales of lost loves and found homes. We swayed in place, bodies close, a makeshift dance in limbo. As the song swelled, his hand slid to my waist, pulling me flush. "Dance with me," he asked, half joking, but his eyes pleaded for normalcy. I nodded, arms looping his neck, and we moved, awkward at first, then fluid, hips aligning in the narrow space. The friction sparked, desire flaring amid fear, and when he dipped me slightly, laughing, our mouths hovered inches apart. This time, I closed the gap, kissing him slow and deep, a seal against the abyss. He tasted like mint and desperation, hands roaming my back, igniting paths of fire. We broke apart, gasping, foreheads touching. "Worth the wait," he breathed. Every second. But joy soured as another groan rent the air, the floor vibrating ominously. Lights flickered to black, plunging us in a void, and screams. Mine, his, tore free as gravity teased betrayal. Then light. Voices. The top hatch prying open, rescuer's beams slicing down. "Hang on, we're pulling you up." Relief flooded, but as hands reached for us, Jordan's eyes met mine over the chaos. A silent pact. This isn't the end. It's just the elevator letting us go. Ropes lowered, harnesses clicked into place with efficient snaps, and the firefighters, burly guys with Soho accents, hauled us up through the hatch like we were fragile cargo. My legs wobbled on solid ground in the machine room above, fluorescent lights blinding after the red haze, but Jordan's arm around my waist steadied me. "Easy," he murmured, his touch lingering, a private anchor amid the bustle. The crew slapped our backs, peppering us with questions. Any injuries? Claustrophobia kicking in? We mumbled affirmatives, shaken but whole, and they escorted us down the service stairs, a slow descent that felt eternal after the stall. My mind replayed fragments. His kiss, the confessions, the way his body had molded to mine in the dark. Was it real, or fever dream born of adrenaline? At the lobby, chaos reigned. Cops cordoning off the elevators, tenants milling like spooked cattle, a news van idling curbside under the relentless Manhattan drizzle. Flashbulbs popped as we emerged, and a reporter thrust a mic. "Sir, what happened up there?" "Terror." Jordan fielded it smoothly, his photographer's poise kicking in. "Power glitch. Scary, but we're good. Thanks to these guys." He nodded to the crew, charming them with a grin that made my stomach flip. Cameras swiveled to me, but I ducked, mumbling no comment as I bolted for the revolving doors. Outside, the rain had slicked the sidewalks to mirrors, reflecting the Empire State's glow like a beacon. I paused under the awning, heart pounding, not from the drop but the what now. Jordan caught up, breathless, blazer slung over one shoulder. "Hey, wait." I turned, raindrops catching in his lashes, making him look achingly vulnerable. That was intense. Understatement. He stepped closer, shielding me from the downpour with his body. "Dinner still on? Tomorrow? 8 p.m., that spot I mentioned, Los Compadres on Avenue B." The ask hung, simple yet loaded. "Say yes," and I stepped off the cliff. "Yeah, text me the address." I pulled out my phone, hands unsteady, and we exchanged numbers, his contact popping up as Jordan Reyes, elevator hero, with a wink emoji. He laughed, low and rich. "Hero, huh? Flattery gets you extra empanadas." Then, softer, "Get home safe, Alex. Dream of me." "I will." The promise slipped out, and before I could overthink, he leaned in, brushing a chaste kiss to my cheek, lips warm against chilled skin. "Night." I watched him vanish into the night, umbrella blooming like a dark flower, a hollow ache blooming in my chest. Taxi horns blared, pedestrians jostled. But the city felt quieter, as if holding its breath for what came next. Back in my Brooklyn walk-up, the apartment echoed emptily, bookshelves sagging under unread volumes, a half-dead ficus mocking my neglect. I stripped off my damp clothes. The mirror reflecting a man changed. Lips swollen from his kiss, eyes bright with possibility. Sleep evaded, mind replaying his stories, his touch, until dawn crept in, gray and insistent. Morning brought the grind, coffee black as my mood, subway rattled to Midtown. At the office, glass walls and open-plan desks buzzed with gossip about the elevator scare. My colleagues clustered, oblivious I'd been the star. Heard it was terrorists, whispered Sarah from accounting, wide-eyed. I forced a laugh, sinking into my cubicle, but focus fractured. Emails blurred. Instead, I drafted text to Jordan, deleting half-formed confessions. By noon, my phone buzzed and survived the night. No nightmares of plummeting. Grinning, I typed. Only good ones. You. Sent. Heart raced as dots danced. Same. P.S. We're something comfy tomorrow. Plan involves walking after dinner. Rain or shine. The flirtation warmed me through the afternoon slog, but doubt crept in during the pitch meeting, boss droning about core values alignment, his gaze lingering on my rumpled tie. Paranoia? Maybe, but it fueled resolve. No more hiding. Evening blurred into routine, gym to sweat out nerves, then home to agonize over outfits. Settled on slim jeans, a soft Henley that hugged my frame. Cologne spritzed with uncharacteristic care. As I stepped out, text from Jordan, on my way. Can't wait. Los Compadres was a gem. Twinkling string lights over checkered tables, salsa rhythms pulsing from hidden speakers, the air rich with cumin and lime. He was at a corner booth, sleeves rolled to elbows, revealing forearms corded with veins that begged tracing. You made it, he said, standing to pull out my chair, his smile disarming. Barely. Traffic from hell. I sat, knees brushing his under the table, the contact deliberate now. We ordered empanadas as promised, bistec and cebollado steaming between us, and conversation reignited seamless, no awkward stall. He grilled me on work, the absurdities of selling authenticity to brands that peddled lies. I prodded his latest project, a series on queer elders in Harlem, their wrinkled hands weaving tapestries of survival. You're passionate, I said, for pausing. It's sexy. His foot nudged mine, playful. Careful, or I'll drag you to a shoot sometime. Show you how I work. Promise? The word dripped innuendo, and heat flared in his eyes, the table shrinking around us. Dessert arrived, flan wobbling like my resolve, and as spoons clinked, his hand covered mine. Walk, he asked, voice low. Outside, rain had paused, streets gleaming under sodium lamps. We strolled Avenue B, shoulders bumping, the city a symphony of laughter from bars, distant jazz spilling from windows. At Tompkins Square Park, gates ajar, he tugged me inside. Come on. Shortcut. Under ancient oaks, benches wet but inviting, we sat close, thighs pressed. Silence fell, comfortable yet electric. Thanks for tonight, I said, turning to him. Moonlight silvered his profile, sharpening the hunger in his gaze. My pleasure. His hand cupped my neck, thumb stroking pulse point. Alex, I silenced him with a kiss, bold this time. No accident, no dark excuse. Soft at first, exploratory, then deepening as he responded, arm banding my waist, pulling me onto his lap. Tongues tangled, breaths ragged, the world dissolving to the slide of lips, the scrape of stubble, his groan vibrating through me. Hands roamed. Mine in his hair is under my shirt, fingers splaying hot on bare skin. We broke for air, foreheads touching. Your place or mine? He panted, eyes black with need. Mine. Closer. The decision thrilled, terrifying, inviting him into my sanctuary, walls and all. But as we rose, disentangling with reluctance, a shadow detached from the trees, a figure in a hoodie, face obscured, muttering slurs under breath. Fucking fags. Ice flooded my veins, old locker room echoes crashing back. Jordan stiffened, hand tightening on mine. Ignore it, he whispered, but the guy advanced, bottle glinting in fist. Adrenaline surged, fight or flight screaming. Jordan stepped forward, shielding me. Back off, man. Not tonight. The drunk lunged, bottle swinging wild. Jordan dodged, years of street smarts kicking in, but the bottle clipped his arm, glass shattering. I yanked him back, heart in throat, and we ran, park paths blurring, breath sawing, until we burst onto the avenue, safe in neon crowds. Panting against a lamppost, he winced, blood welling from a shallow gash. Shit, you okay? Me? You're bleeding. Guilt twisted, my fault, drawing hate just by existing. He waved it off, pulling me close. Worth it. For this. Kiss me fierce, defiant, tasting of copper and courage. Hailing a cab, we tumbled in, his head on my shoulder, the night sealing us in blood and fire. At my door, bandaging his wound with trembling hands, I realized this wasn't just attraction. It was alliance, forged in elevators and alleys, unbreakable. Dawn filtered through my blinds, painting Jordan's sleeping form in gold. Chest rising steady, scar stark against pillow. I'd woken hours ago, watching him, memorizing the fan of lashes, the soft part of lips that had explored mine with reverent hunger. Last night replayed in loops. The park scuffle fading against the tenderness of undressing him, wounds tended with kisses, bodies finally yielding in my bed. It had been slow, worshipful, hands mapping scars, whispers of beautiful, and mine gasped into skin. Climax shattered us, but connection lingered, deeper than release. He stirred, amber eyes blinking open, a lazy smile curving. Morning, handsome, voice sleep rough. He tugged me down for a kiss, morning breath be damned, sweet, unhurried. Morning, I nuzzled his neck, inhaling cedar and us. Coffee. Later. This first. His hands wandered, reigniting embers, and we lost ourselves again, slower now, sunlight warming tangled sheets. After, showered and sated, we brewed dark roast in my tiny kitchen, him in boxers, me in sweats, domesticity surreal. Over mugs, reality intruded. Work? He asked, scrolling his phone, text from clients, a gig offer in Queens. Day off miracle. Lie. I called in sick, first time ever, craving this bubble. You, shoot, at noon. Portraits for a queer mag. Pride lit him. Gourmet. See me in action. Tempting, but fear nipped, public exposed. Maybe next time. Rain check. His brow quirked, but he nodded. Your call. No pressure, just understanding that eased the guilt. He dressed reluctantly, stealing kisses at the door. Text me later? Dinner round 2. Deal. Door clicked shut, and the apartment echoed empty, his absence a physical ache. I paced, phone in hand, drafting work excuses while replaying his moans, his vows of more. Midday brought a call. Mom, Ohio area code flashing like warning. Alex, how's the big city treating you? Guilt spiked. Good, Mom. Busy. Lies stacked, but her chatter flowed. Sister's wedding plans, Dad's bad knee. Seeing anyone special? Heart stuttered. Jordan's face flashed. Should I? Kinda. Early days. Squeal of delight. Tell me everything. Not yet. Promise. Hung up, turmoil churning. Telling them meant bridges burned or mended. Afternoon dragged. I wandered Brooklyn Heights, Heights winds off the river, sketching mental shots like Jordan might. Brownstones etched in light, lovers hand in hand, defying stares. Inspired, texted him a photo of the skyline. Thinking of you. Reply instant. Ditto. Shoots fire. Models a trans activist, stories that gut you. Wish you here. Warmth bloomed, but evening loomed solo. Takeout and Netflix a poor substitute. Buzz him, gig wrapped early. Your place? Bring wine. Yes. Heart leaped. He arrived windswept, bottle of Malbec in hand, eyes devouring. Missed you. No preamble. We uncorked on the couch, feet tangled, tails spilling. His shoot. The model's journey from foster care to runway, inked with reclamation tattoos. Mine, the call, the half-confession. Proud of you, he said, hand on thigh. Small steps. Wine loosened tongues, then lips, migration to bedroom, inevitable. This time, urgent, clothes shed in hallway, him pinning me to wall, kisses bruising. Need you, he growled, and I arched, giving everything. Spent, curled together, he traced my tattoo. Tell me its story. Coming out ritual. Alone, drunk, but free. Vulnerability bared. Beautiful. Kissed it, then me. When do I meet them? Your folks. Panic flickered. Too soon. Soon. Let's savor this first. He nodded, but shadow lingered. Just. Don't shut me out, Alex. I've been the ghost before. Never. Minute, but sleep came uneasy. Dreams of elevators dropping, hands slipping free. Days blurred into rhythm. Stolen lunches in parks, his shoots bleeding into my evenings. Me tagging along finally, camera clicking as he coaxed truth from subjects. One night, at a gallery in Soho, his prints hung. Raw, queer narratives that drew crowds, murmurs of powerful. He glowed, introducing me as my guy, possessive arm around waist. Pride swelled, but whispers followed. Who's this suit? Insecurity nipped me, the corporate drone, beside his artist fire. Late that night, post-opening haze, we argued first time. You tensed up, he said, pacing my living room. When they asked about you. Didn't notice. Lie. Just tired. Bullshit. You're pulling back. Hurt etched his face, scar stark. Frustration boiled. It's new, Jordan. I'm not. Out. Everywhere. And he stopped, eyes pleading. I'm worth the risk. Yes. Voice cracked. But fear doesn't vanish overnight. He deflated, pulling me close. I know. Sorry. Just scared of losing this. We made up slow, bodies apologies, but seed planted, doubt fragile. Week later, crisis hit. My firm landed a client. Conservative pack, ads touting traditional marriage. Pitch loomed and nausea rose. Told Jordan over phone, voice hollow. I can't do it. Feels like betrayal. Then don't. Simple, fierce. Walk. Or sabotage subtly. Slip in a rainbow emoji, see if they blink. Laughter bubbled, tension easing. Genius. Dinner to plot. His place first time. Lower East Side loft, exposed brick, walls papered in prints. Chaotic beauty mirroring him. We schemed over tie. Laughter turning to lust on his rug burned souvenirs. But morning brought text from boss. Pitch tomorrow. Nail it, promotion's yours. Stomach nodded. At work, slides mocked. Smiling hetero couples. Taglines like protect our families. Revisions burned. Jordan's idea. A diverse extra in background. Subtle queer flag pin on a bystander. Submitted, heart pounding. Pitch day. Boardroom tense. Execs nodding. Then the pin. Gasps questions. Art error. Boss glared. Intentional, I said, voice steady. Inclusivity sells. America's changing. Silence, then applause from some. Boss pulled me aside post. Bold. Risky. But it worked. Promotion pending your discretion. Elation surged. Called Jordan from stairwell. Did it. Came out kinda. Scream of joy. My place. Celebrate. That night, champagne fizzed, body slick. Proud. He whispered, inside me, worlds colliding. But joy tempered by his news. Gig in LA, 2 weeks. Photo doc on queer migrants. Can't pass. Gut twisted. Go. But hurry back. Distance loomed, testing. Calls nightly, sex bridging miles, but loneliness crept. Work whispers about my edgy pitch, family probing emails. Weekend, nightmare. Drunk dialed to mom, slurred I love a man. Hung up, regret crashing. Morning, her call. Silence first, then tears. Alex, why hide? Sobs racked. Scared you'd hate me. Never. We love you. Always. Healing raw. Told Jordan, voice breaking. Did it. They know. His pride. Brave, beautiful you. Return flight landed. Airport reunion kiss public, defiant. But as we drove, his face shadowed. LA opened eyes. Stories there, kids fleeing hate, building lives. Makes our fights feel small. Not small, I countered. Ours matter too. He nodded, but tension simmered. Home, lovemaking strained, doubt in touches. Confrontation brewed over dinner. What's eating you? I asked for down. Us. This, it's real, but I'm restless. Always have been. At me see no home. What if I drag you down? Your career's climbing. Mine's a crapshoot. Fear echoed mine. Then we fight for it. Together. Eyes searched. Promise. Promise. Sealed with kiss, but undercurrent lingered. Love's fragility, city's grind, testing bonds. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting Washington Square in crimson, mirroring the slow bleed of our harmony. Jordan's restlessness manifested in late nights editing. Smoke breaks on fire escapes, his laugh rarer, edged with distraction. I buried in work, promotion sealed, corner office perks, but success tasted hollow without him fully present. Dates became rituals, walks in the village, hands linked against stairs, but conversations skirted depths, skimming surfaces. One crisp evening, post his gallery talk, crowd wrapped on his Invisible Thread series. I pulled him into a shadowed alley off Bleecker. Talk to me, I demanded, backing him against brick. You're fading. He sighed, head thumping wall. Not you. Me. LA stirred shit, saw couples torn by borders, hate. Makes me question. Am I enough? For you, for this life? Heart ached. You're everything. What if you're running from us? No. Hands frame my face, urgent. Scared of failing you. Like I did Marcus. Old wound. You didn't fail. He quit. Kissed him fierce, tasting salt of unshed tears. We're not them. Relief in his exhale, body yielding as we stumbled to my place, reclaiming each other with desperate rhythm. Nails raking, gasps echoing, reaffirming in sweat-slicked union. Thanksgiving loomed, first shared. I invited him home. Ohio, neutral ground post coming out. Mom's voice warmed over planning calls. Bring pie, dear. Dad's grilling turkey. Jordan hesitated, Texas ghost whispering, but agreed. For you. Road trip bonded. Diner stops, playlists of queer anthems, his hand on my thigh over console. Arrival. Farmhouse porch, parents' hugs tentative but true. Dad clapped Jordan's back. Photographer, Show me some shots, while Mom fuss pies eyes soft on our linked hands. Dinner unfolded warm, awkward edges smoothing. Stories flowed. Jordan's bar fight heroism earning Dad's nod. My pitch rebellion drawing Mom's tears. Laughter bridged gaps, and late, by fire pit, Dad pulled me aside. He's good for you, son. Real. Elation swelled. Bed shared in guest room. Whispers and touches quiet. Sacred. Love's quiet revolution. Return invigorated, but city clawed back. Jordan's big break. Solo exhibit at MoMA PS1. Queer Icon Series. Prep consumed him. Darkroom marathons. Arguments with curators. I supported, fetching takeout, but resentment simmered. Nights alone, scrolling his socials. Envy of muses who stole his gaze. Clash erupted mid-December. Snow blanketing stoops. I arrived at his loft unannounced, finding him with a model. Live non-binary artist, poses intimate, laughter easy. Jealousy ignited. Am I interrupting? Tone sharp, der Schlemming. Jordan startled, camera down. Alex? No, it's work. Look cozy. Words poisoned, insecurity spilling. Hurt flashed. Trust me? After everything. Model slipped out, tactful leaving frost. It's not them, he said pacing. It's me, chasing perfection, missing us. Tears pricked, then stopped chasing. Be here. I am. Voice rose. But art's my oxygen. Without it, I'm gasping. And me? Your side gig. Cruel but true flashed. Silence deafened. He deflated. Never. But if you can't see that. Words hung. Unspoken ultimatum. I stormed out. Snow biting. Cab. Ride blurring tears. Home. Voicemails. His apologies raw. Come back. Please. Dawn text. Loft. Now. Reunion tentative. Coffee steaming. Eyes red-rimmed. I'm sorry. Vekorest. Laffen brokenly. He pulled prints. Our photos, candid. Elevator rescue clip he'd sourced. News snippet. Park kiss sketch from memory. You're my muse, Alex. Always. Melted, we vowed balance. Date nights sacred, his shoots with invites. Exhibit opening dazzled. Crowds thrumming. His speech crediting the man who trapped me, freed me. Toasts raised, our kiss amid applause bold. Holidays glowed. Christmas Eve tree trimming, ornaments baubles of inside jokes. New Year's countdown in Times Square, his arms cage against crush, midnight kiss fireworks inside. Winter thawed to spring, growth budding. I came out at work, memo casual, rainbow pin permanent. Colleagues support surprised, hugs, ally flags. Jordan documented, out loud series, my portrait centerpiece. But undercurrent stirred, his whispers of wanderlust. Road trip? Southwest, canyons calling. Yes, adventure beckoned. Route 66 echoes. Motels neon lit, diner dawns, his camera capturing us, tangled in sheets, laughing at Grand Canyon rim. One night, under Mojave stars, he knelt. Not proposal, but pledge. Wherever I go, you're home. Tears fell. Ditto. Return, life pulsed fuller. But June pride approached, city's heartbeat quickening. Jordan planned float for his collective, queer artists marching. Join? Speech. Terror gripped, spotlight phobia. Crowds. No. Disappointment shadowed. It's us. Our story. Guilt gnawed. Rehearsed alone, words stumbling. From elevators to forever, love traps and freeze. March day, dawn electric. Rainbow rivers flooding fifth, chants thundering. I found him on float, megaphone in hand, eyes scanning. Heart pounding, I climbed, mic snatched. I got stuck. Voice amplified, story poured. Kisses, fights, triumphs. Crowd roared, Jordan's pride beaming, pulling me in a kiss amid cheers. Ecstasy crested, but post-march after-party, stranger approached. Marcus, sleek in linen. Jordan, long time. Tension crackled. Marcus eyed me, dismissive. New arm candy. Jordan stiffened. Boyfriend. Alex. Polite venom exchanged. Marcus slinking off. After, Jordan raged. He always undermined. Like I'm transient. You're not. Held him through storm, soothing. We're solid. But seed of doubt, his past a specter. July heat wave, baked city, tempers flaring. Work crunch. Campaign launch, deadlines gnawing. Jordan's grant application loomed. 6 months abroad, queer docs in Europe. Over dinner, bomb dropped. Accepted. Berlin fall. Silence chewed. 6 months. Career maker. Pleading eyes. Come weekends. Or wait. Pain lanced. Firms expanding. Can't. Hurt mirrored. Then what? Fight for now. Kissed but goodbye loomed. Summer waned, packing bittersweet. Airport farewell. Embrace crushing, tears salt. Love you. First utterance. Love you more. Gate swallowed him, void yawning. Months stretched. Calls crackling, visits squeezed. Me to Berlin, frosty alleys, his flat alive with Prince. Reunions fervent, partings brutal. Thanksgiving solo, Ohio empty without him. Christmas parcel, his gift, camera, capture our story. Resolve quit? No. Negotiate remote. Boss agreed, hybrid freedom. January call, come. Permanent. Torn, roots deep. Need time. Hesitation cost. Texts cooled, silences lengthened. February video, him distant, miss you but panic. Booked flight unannounced. Berlin winter bit, his door answered weary. Alex, can't lose you. Poured hard, fears, dreams. He pulled in, kiss thawing. Me neither. Stay. Trial run, my laptop city hopping. March, decision. Relocate partial, firm satellite. Spring balloon joint. Our lease, LES walk-up blending worlds, my suits beside his lenses. But harmony tested. His doc premiered, acclaim roaring, temptations whispering, admirers, offers abroad. One night, post-party, accusation flew. Flirting with that curator? Work, defended, but trust frayed. Storm raged. Doors slammed, silences iced. If you don't trust, he yelled. If you hide, I countered. Dawn truce. Therapy suggested joint. Sessions peeled layers. His abandonment fears my control needs. Healing slow, but roots deepened. Summer pride again. Tandem speech. Crowds love bomb. Fall brought balance. His exhibits local. My campaigns queer focused. One evening, Canyon trip redux. Vegas drive. Neon vows renewed. Winter cozied. Holidays fused. Texas visit. His folks thawing over photos. Ohio sequel. Dad, son-in-law quip. New Year, underball drop broadcast. He knelt proper. Ring simple. Silver band etched trapped and freed. Yes. Kiss sealed. Future bright. But life dramatic. Spring storm. Exhibit vandalized. Slurs slashed across queer portraits. Rage united us. Press storm. Rally speeches. Art reborn stronger. Summer heat, my proposal addendum. Adoption dreams, family forged. Fall harvest, positive test, surrogate journey begun. Winter miracle, son born, tiny fists clutching fingers. Years folded, playground chases, Jordan's lens on milestones, my story's bedtime lore. Decade on, elevator plaque, where intensity began. We trace it, sun giggling, hearts full. Breathless still, not from traps but boundless love's endless climb.